Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of From My House to Your House. Stories as part of the virtual Sounds of the Mountain Storytelling Festival. We wish we could all be together in person, and we know that someday we will be again. The story I want to tell you now is a Greek myth. It's one of the very first myths that I began to tell many, many, many years ago. It's still one of my favorites. It's the story of the first woman, according to the Greeks. Have you ever been making up your bed and fluffing up your pillow and you came across one of those little tags that says, "Under penalty of law, do not remove"? And maybe you thought to yourself, "What? Who says? This is my pillow. I can rip this little tag off here right now if I want to. Pillow police gonna come in here and arrest me if I do?" Well, maybe, just maybe, that's how Pandora felt about that box. It was a beautiful box. It was covered with gold. It had a heavy lid that was full of jewels on the top, and there was a lock on that lid. And there was a tag on the lock that said, "Under penalty of law, do not remove." And maybe Pandora said to herself, "What? Who says? This is my box. Papa Zeus gave this to me as a wedding present. Why wouldn't he want me to have a little peek inside?" Yeah, you see, Pandora had a problem. And it had all begun years and years and years before that as a feud between Papa Zeus, the head honcho up on Mount Olympus, and the Prometheus brothers. Now, you may remember the Prometheus boys. There was a whole slew of them. But the two that show up in this story are Prometheus and Epimetheus. Now, Pro and Epi were titans, and the titans were the arch enemies of the Olympians, Zeus's family. It was kind of like the Hatfields and the McCoys. They were always fighting about something. Well, Prometheus, he was the older one of the Prometheus boys, and he was the bright one in the family. And he was also the most beloved one by the mortals on the earth. See, Prometheus was always giving presents to the mortals, trying to make them adore him and worship him even more. And Zeus was pretty jealous about that. Well, one day, Pro got this great idea. He decided that he would give the mortals on the earth a present like they had never had before. He was going to give them fire. Yes, see, the only fire that existed back then, except for the fire that Hades had down in the underworld, was this fire in the barbecue pit in Zeus's backyard. Oh, he loved having that fire. It made him feel powerful. Well, one day when Zeus was away from home, out on an affair of state, Prometheus slipped in the back gate of Zeus's mansion, and he stole a red-hot coal out of that fire pit. Ooh, he carried that hot fire down, and he gave it to the mortals on the earth. They were just thrilled to have fire. Now they could warm their feet and their hands, and they could cook hamburgers, and they celebrated by setting off firecrackers. They loved that fire. But when Zeus found out about it, he chapped his hide. He was furious. Those mortals using that fire as if it belonged to him when it didn't, it was his. Well, he decided he was going to punish the Prometheus boys. So first, he got a hold of Prometheus. He captured him, and he hauled Prometheus up to the top of a mountain. And he tied him up, hung him on the side of the mountain, took off all his clothes, and left him hanging there naked. Poor old Pro, he hung there all day long, in the boiling hot sun, all night long in the cold. In the wee hours of the morning, an eagle flew up on that mountain. Now, some versions of the story say it was a vulture, but whatever, it was a big bird. Now, that eagle had sat down right on Prometheus's face, and it began to peck at his belly. And it pecked and pecked and pecked until it plucked out his liver. And then that eagle swallowed Prometheus's liver, and off the bird flew. So poor old Pro had to hang there again, all day long in the boiling hot sun, all night long in the cold, miserable, shivering, liverless. But he didn't die. No, he couldn't die. He was immortal. Well, sure enough, he grew a brand new liver. That's what happens when you're immortal. And early the next morning, that old eagle was back, and the eagle sat down on his face again, plucked out that liver, swallowed it, and off the bird flew. Well, this same old routine went on, year after year after year, and Prometheus just kept on growing new livers. Well, after eons of time had gone by, you would think that Zeus would be done with it. He would have been avenged, but no, not Zeus. Zeus was real big on getting even. Now he decided it was time to take out his fury on the younger Prometheus boy, Epi. And that was when Zeus came up with a great idea. He would invent something that he would send down to Epimetheus and to the mortals on the earth, and he would drive them crazy. That's when Zeus invented the first woman. You see, according to the Greeks, up until then, the whole world was inhabited by nothing but men. A whole world full of men, can you imagine? How in the world their toilet paper rolls in their bathrooms ever got changed without a woman to do it? It's a mystery to me. Anyway, Zeus, he went to his son Festus, who was a blacksmith, and he told him he wanted him to design a woman. And so Festus did. He drew up the plans and he built this woman. He made her strong. He made her beautiful. And Zeus made her smart, and he made her curious. And Zeus called this woman Pandora, which means gift to all. You see, it was a setup right from the start. And then Zeus gave that woman, Pandora, a box. A beautiful box. It was covered with gold, and it was inlaid with jewels, and it had a heavy lid and a lock and a little tag on that lock that said, "Under penalty of law, do not remove." He gave that box to Pandora, and he sent her down to find Epimetheus and to marry up with him. Well, that wasn't hard, because as soon as Epi laid eyes on Pandora, he was in love. And they got married, and she promised to love, honor, and redecorate. Well, the first few weeks they were married, she was so busy trying to learn how to be a good wife, how to keep house and cook, which is what she thought she was supposed to do. She didn't have much time to think about that box. But it wasn't long till she figured out housework is really not very much fun. And that was when she began to notice that box. She began to dust it every day. She began to polish the jewels on the top. One day, Prometheus came home from work a little bit early, and he saw her with that box, and he said to her, "Ooh, Pandy, honey, don't mess with that box. That box is trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for Pooey," said Pandora. You see, she wasn't scared of that box. No, she was curious about it. Of course she was. She was born that way. Well, Prometheus took the box and he stuck it into a closet, shoved it way to the back, and he told her not to take it out and mess with it anymore. As soon as he went back to work, Pandora took the box out of the closet and put it on a coffee table. She pulled up a chair next to it, and she sat there staring at the box. Every day she did that. And she would say to herself, "How come I can't open up this box? It's a present to me from Papa Zeus. Why wouldn't he want me to have a look? I mean, I won't take anything out and break it or anything like that. I need to have a little peek. It's my wedding present." Well, one day, she figured it out. She said, "Oh, of course! I know why he put that little tag on there. It's because Papa Zeus didn't want anybody else to open up this box and have a look at my present before I got to do it. He wanted me to be the first. That's it." And so she ran out to the garage and she got a crowbar and she came back in there. And she popped off that lock. And then she lifted up the lid. Well, that's when it all hit the fan. All this stuff that was in that box came flying out of the box. It's the kind of stuff that we think makes our lives miserable to this day. Stuff like sickness, old age, anger, envy, lust, racism, sexism, terrorism, tourism, communism, capitalism, TV evangelism, war, bombs, nuclear waste, cholesterol, hemorrhoids, PMS, coronaviruses. Oh yeah, all of that and so much more came flying up out of that box, escaping into the world. But there was one little misfit right at the bottom. Now, she didn't think she really belonged with the others. She was different. Her name was Hope. But Hope figured this was her chance. She would take a flying leap like all the rest of them had. But before she did that, she called out, "Pandy, honey, get a grip. Shut the lid or I'm gone, girl." And Pandora did get a grip on herself just in time, and she slammed shut the lid of that box. And Hope was kept safe inside. So, no matter how bad things get these days, when you're down and out and the world around you seems to be falling to pieces, just remember, there's always hope. She's right there, right where Pandora kept her, in that little box, deep inside of you. Thanks, Pandora.
This festival is an important fundraiser for Camp Bethel, especially this year. Our excellent sponsors stuck with us. Can you help too? Please donate using the buttons or links on this page. Thank you.
We hope the festival will be back home in person next year and need your help in getting the camp ready to reopen as soon as possible for summer camps, guest groups, and special events like the festival. Please click on the link below and make your contribution toward the work, the fun, and the fellowship that find a home at Camp Bethel. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your gift.